welcome to Half the Battle. We're back to the comic this week.
We're taking a look at issue 52, Snap Decisions. Look at that cover! It promises an epic battle between Quick Kick and Storm Shadow, two martial arts experts at the height of their game. A test of skills and stamina that will go down in history as one of the great showdowns of our time.
Yeah, the whole fight takes about 5 panels. Panels, not pages.
Covers always lie.
Anyway, before we get into the comic proper, a quick recap.
Issue 50 saw Serpentor leading an evacuation of Springfield, Cobra's base of operations in the US, becoming a hero in the process. He, along with the entire population of the town, are on their way to Cobra Island. Issue 51 didn't follow up on that, instead opting to tell the tale of Sartan escaping from G.I.Joe headquarters with the help of his siblings and the Dreadnoks. This issue has 2 stories in it, one that deals with Cobra and one for the Joes. Rather than go back and forth like the comic does, we'll tackle these one at a time, since they don't intersect anyway.
We'll start with the Joes.
The Joes who were chasing Zartan and the Dreadnoks returned to base, frustrated that they didn't accomplish anything. Other Joes, who had returned from the Battle of Springfield, where they also didn't accomplish anything, feel equally frustrated.
Yeah, things have gone pretty bad for them, all things considered.
They take out their frustration on specially designed practice dummies that resemble Cobra characters. You know, somebody had to request that custom-made equipment. Sometimes I'd really like to be a fly on the wall of whoever audits the Joe's budget. Their fun is interrupted by Storm Shadow, who wants a word with Snake Eyes. The ninja snuck on board the swamp fire when Zorana was infiltrating the Joe base last issue, if you remember. The Joes are a bit suspicious since they believe him to be super dead.
Understandable, considering they saw him frickin' die.
To prove his credentials, he plucks an arrow out of the air and takes out Barbecue and Stalker with one double kick, showing off his crotch to the reader while doing so. Look, comic book artists, this is never ever a good look. Both Quick Kick and Scarlet remain unconvinced. You might be able to dazzle a fireman and a street fighter, but let's see how you stack up against a real martial artist.
Wow, way to kick those guys when they're down.
I mean when they are literally down, Scarlet. And so, the ultimate showdown begins.
A fight that, like I said, lasts for less than 5 frickin' panels.
Stormy blocks 4 nunchuck attacks using nothing but the arrow he caught, and then kicks our shirtless wonder in the head. The end. Now, that was exceptional.
Exceptionally lame, I mean.
Now all that stands between Stormy and Snake Eyes is Scarlet. No idea what the other 50 Joes are doing at this point. Maybe Game of Thrones is on TV or something. Anyway, they half-heartedly attack each other, but mostly talk, convincing Scarlet he's the real deal, but pretty messed up from being dead and such. And Stormy himself is now convinced that, Snake Eyes and Scarlet are BFFs. Stormy then basically goes over what happened in previous issues. Like when he got shot, he went into a ninja technique, the Sleeping Phoenix, to lower his vitals so his body could heal. This, of course, hinges on the retcon that he was shot in the chest, not in the head, as was shown originally.
'Cause ain't nobody surviving that unless they're Wolverine.
By the way, I got to imagine that, as he's explaining this, Barbecue, Stalker, and Quick Kick are still laid out on the floor. For God's sakes, I need medical attention, not plot exposition. I meant no harm to any of you. Asshole! He also explains they used his body as fresh DNA for Serpentor, and this somehow gave him memories and voices of other DNA donors, like Genghis Khan.
Not sure how that's supposed to work, but whatever.
Anyway, this whole ordeal has left him pretty messed up mentally, so we ask Snake Eyes for help, since he needs to recover. He gets the keys to Snake Eyes' cabin, and they bro hug. After Stormy leaves, Barbecue points out this leaves them with a security breach, and gets dicked by Scarlet for his trouble.
You know, dude had a point.
To say nothing of the fact that they just let the guy who probably gave him a concussion via kick walk out. Storm Shadow's arc in this issue wraps up with him finding the remains of the cabin. It got blown up a lot of issues ago, but there's a secret bunker where he can meditate and,
Starve to death, I guess? I don't know.
The Joe story wraps up with Hawk returning from the Pentagon, where it turns out they weren't impressed with the Joes blowing the hell out of a town with nothing to show for it, so they've suspended the G.I.Joe program. That means the pit, their headquarters, is closed and they can all go fondle themselves.
And that was the Joe part of the issue. That means we're only halfway through, since we still have the Cobra plot.
By the way, the comic states that the first 5 pages of this issue take place before the events of issue 51, where Zartan escapes. The rest after that event.
But honestly, it has no impact on the flow of the story anyway.
It begins with Serpentor having almost reached Cobra Island to the chagrin of Cobra Commander. He wanted the perfect warrior, not the perfect leader, so he's worried about getting usurped. The Crimson Twins have a solution though.
Shoot the guy!
They have Crimson Guard snipers in place that take Serpy out as soon as he lands. Though, for some reason, in a couple of panels, the CGs are colored blue. I don't understand where this mistake comes from, since they are colored correctly in at least 2 panels, but wrong in others. Also, their frickin' name is Crimson Guard.
Yeah, I don't know what the colorist was smoking.
Destro, the Baroness, Serpentor, and basically anybody with half a brain realize the commander is gonna try something, so they react accordingly. Instead of landing the way they're supposed to, Serpy has the chopper roll right up to Cobra Commander's face, then he quickly jumps out and bro hugs the guy.
There's a lot of bromance going on in this issue, isn't there?
With that, the sniping opportunity is lost. Call off those snipers. If they shoot him down now, there will be a riot.
You know, I'm pretty sure that would have happened even if they had shot him earlier.
Serpy gives a clever speech praising Cobra Commander, while also making it plain they're political rivals, and ensuring the commander can't openly move against him. And those were the first 5 pages that happened before issue 51.
But like I said, it doesn't really matter as the story just progresses from there.
The commander is still seething about Serpentor being a threat when he gets a call from Zartan, who's on his way. Zartan tells him they know where G.I.Joe headquarters is, but old Ragface has a far more important mission for him.
Weird. I mean, for like 50 freaking issues, Cobra Commander's main goal has been to find out where the pit is, but I guess that's all out of the window now.
A little while later, the Crimson Twins and the commander are having dinner when all of a sudden, the Joes burst in? Only it turns out to be Zartan and the Dreadnoks in disguise. The commander sets his plan into motion, presumably after changing his underwear. While Serpentor is being made to look accurate to his toy, getting his battle armor and air chariot, he gets a surprise visit from the so-called Joe team, who are there to kill him.
2 things prevent them from doing this.
The Baroness throws herself in front of Serpentor. I won't let you! Now, that line of dialogue is a callback to issue 16, where she said the same thing while saving Destro from an assassination attempt, with dire consequences for herself.
You know, for being an evil femme fatale and all, she sure does try to sacrifice herself for other people a lot.
Fortunately for her, a second thing happens, as Destro bursts in with a bunch of Cobra troops to end hostilities. Zartan realizes they were just pawns in a chess game, one that Serpentor is winning. He bursts in on Cobra Commander, who is thoroughly busted, and Serpentor is quite pleased with himself. This attempt on his life, apparently by the Joe team, is just what he needs to psych Cobra's population up for an attack on the pit. Yeah, he knows about that because Serpentor was listening in on Zartan's conversation with the commander. He explains that they need each other and should cooperate because of what comes next.
And what will come next?
Next issue, Cobra assaults the pit. And that was snap decisions. And overall, it was good. Great in parts even.
There were, however, 1 or 2 things that annoyed me.
I already went over the fight on the cover. Yeah, turns out that wasn't so much a fight as a very short one-sided beatdown. Quite disappointing, really.
Then there's Cobra Commander.
In this issue, he comes off as a whiny, incompetent coward who keeps confusing Tomax for Xamot or vice versa. Frankly, this portrayal is far closer to his cartoon counterpart than is usual for the comic. I mean, normally, he's far more cunning and ruthless. I'm not sure what the reason was for this sudden but brief change. Maybe it was to make Serpentor more popular so the fanbase would be more equally divided between them?
And speaking of being out of character,
look at the Baroness going gaga over Serpy here. Isn't he magnificent, Destro?
the Baroness doesn't swoon over anybody.
Anyway, despite these hiccups, it's still a really good issue that sets up the new dynamic inside Cobra really well. And it promises fireworks for the next issue when there will be an attack on the pit while the Joe team is suspended.
When we check in on this comic series again, we'll see how well they can deliver on that promise. Well, I'll see you next time, everybody. And hey, why not like, share and subscribe if that's your thing.